We've got news about war games being staged across the world in preparation for the Summer Olympics, which are just right around the corner. Joel is here. Joel, thanks so much for joining us today. So tell us a little bit about what these two media heavyweights, Google and NBC, are doing to prepare and fight back against potential cyber attacks when streaming the Olympics this summer.
Well, this is going to be the largest streamed sporting event in history. I mean, every single competition in the Olympics, all 3,200 hours of events are all going to be streamed live. But there's a real concern because, last Olympics in Beijing, there was actually 12 million attacks per day against different Chinese companies, perhaps against some of the Olympic entities themselves. So there's a real concern that, if all of this is reliant on, on the internet and on people being able to watch live streaming, that, there could be disruption in the events if there was a massive hacker attack.
And so 12 million a day with the Beijing Olympics. I mean, are we expecting more than that this year? And how did the Beijing Olympics, how were they able to handle that many attacks per day?
Well, all 12 million weren't on the Beijing Olympics themselves, but it was on related companies, it was on other individuals, it was using the Olympics trademarks to send people, malicious emails. Right now what they're doing is they're trying to rehearse sort of for the various types of events that could happen. And it's not just hacker attacks, it's like hardware malfunctions, it's routers going down. So, Google and NBC, they have a massive international operation with offices all around the world in order to route all this footage. And, when an emergency happens, you want to know kind of who's in charge, how are we going to be able to deal with this, and what's the likely impact going to be?
And I mean, interestingly enough, I mean, there was, they're spending tons of money then, Google and NBC in terms of preparing for this streaming, and there was concern that focusing so much on the streaming would draw, or as I think you said in your story, kind of cannibalize television viewers. But you wrote that that's not necessarily the case.
What they found in the last Olympics was that rather than cannibalize the viewership, it actually kind of encourages people to watch the events later. So obviously there's a time lag whenever you have Olympic Games in different parts of the world, different time zones. But when you actually have the live streaming event, it actually encourages those same people to watch the full taped event later, and then they also tell other people about them.
Okay, so you're able to watch both. Although I don't know, I think with my generation and and your generation being of the same generation, I feel like we'll probably just watch online. I guess it must be a
like if that, maybe just like a minute of it, and I mean, as much as I watch the Olympics anyway.
And so what, I mean, tell us more about kind of what these war games are like. These are hour-long kind of tests. Do they have?
Well, some of them go on as long as like a whole day, and the thing is, you have a lot of players working together. You have Google, you have Google YouTube, you have NBC, and they have offices all over the world. So the thing is being able to kind of coordinate and work together and prepare for hundreds of different contingencies. And if you come under attack from hackers, sometimes it can last for like 12 hours, sometimes it can last for 2 days. So the idea is to be able to figure out like what contingencies you have in place, and what are your sort of backup plans, your plan A, B, and C.
And what will the success or failure, and obviously hopefully it's success for us viewers, but what will the success or failure of this mean for other streaming programs going forward? As you said, this could be the biggest one, to date.
Well, I think I think if they're able to pull this off, it kind of changes the paradigm, because last Super Bowl was actually the first time they streamed a Super Bowl live, and I think it really, if this is like a huge success, I think it really changes the idea of kind of what live streaming television can be, what live streaming sporting events can be, and also it changes the mix of how do you prepare for both a live streamed event, but then also add value on a television broadcast.
And Joel, basic question: where can we watch these being streamed? Is it just NBC.com, and where do you go on Google to be able to watch?
Well, you actually have to be an NBC subscriber, and so it's NBC. It's NBC Olympics. They have a few websites, depending on which cable subscription you have or which satellite subscription you have.